Welcome to a very special episode of Huber Syndrome. We're taking a little break on the one-on-one interviews with our fellow allies. A little halftime, little timeout.
Well, that's exactly what this is.
That's exactly.
We're picking up where our one-on-one left off, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I have replayed the Batman games recently, just talked about them on Frame Trap, but the itch is too strong. I needed you, Brandon Jones. I need to just get hyped on the Arkham Trilogy, because there's a lot of Batman talk right now. Dark Knight Trilogy, the Dark Knight just had its 10-year anniversary.
Right.
Comic-Con just happened. A lot of Batman. The Blu-ray set's coming out. So I'm just feeling it, and we're going to talk about all three Arkham games, specifically Rocksteady's Trilogy. I'm sorry, Origins. Origins is 10.
I love Origins.
Love Origins.
Love it.
No disrespect. We're just talking about Rocksteady right now. Let's get into it. So it all began, Brandon Jones, with Arkham Asylum. Tell me your thoughts on this game.
Pure electricity when this game started up, man. Like, I was...
The intro, yeah, because I want to talk about each game's intro and ending. So let's start with that intro.
But I mean,
walking through.
I personally have to start with just my emotions going into this, knowing like, just you know, turn off the phone, lock the doors, like please do not disturb me, because I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to play this, and I want to just like soak into that. I mean, it was, yeah, it even before I played it, I could tell like, God, this is the game I've been waiting for so long, and it's so great to not. To hit a home run on so many fronts, you know, to have it be such a struggle on like how to make a good Batman game. And like, you know, Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo was fun, and like there were some animated series games that I enjoyed. There were some beat 'em ups that were fun, but to just the moment I put on Detective Vision, I was like, oh, I'm home. Yes, let's do it.
And just hearing obviously Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill is a huge thing right out of the gate as you're pulling up in the Batmobile, like taking Joker to Arkham. Like, that is Arkham Asylum's greatest strength, is how tight and focused it is. It's also, like, you retroactively going back, you know, you don't have the tools that you do in the later games.
It's the best story in the series. No question. No question.
Because
I mean, with the ending is, we'll get there, but yeah, the ending's a little wackazoo, but yeah, it's the tightest, and I just think the most visually engaging. From an accomplishment perspective, from you looking out, I think there was kind of like a fatigue that kind of started to set in for me with the later games, where you were a madman and actually you platinumed all of those, right? Or you got all the Riddler challenges as well. And I remember you yelling at me at night, like, you gotta do that Riddler boss fight. I'm like, I can't. It's exhausting. Whereas I don't feel that exhaustion in Asylum. Like, I think because there's so many other areas that you're exploring, and there's areas that you remember, but kind of like The Simpsons or South Park, it's hard to get a mental sense of like, where should all this stuff be? Like, if anybody's jumping into creating their own Gotham, they can kind of switch it. Where's the Iceberg Lounge? Well, that's over here, it's over there. Compared to GCPD, it doesn't matter. Where Arkham's such a very specific location that I didn't memorize it as quickly the other games as I memorized Asylum. For sure. And so that to me is where the game really started to click, when you started backtracking and going to other locations, having them change structurally, you know, especially like the end where Joker decorates and sets everything up. That. It's just such a great.
So would you call the first one Metroidvania as opposed to open world?
Sure. Oh, totally. Yeah. Much different vibe.
Cool.
You were basically going through a city, going to mini Arkhams. In the other games. You know, these little areas where you would pop in, do a little bit, and then leave.
Chemicals.
And it was frustrating, that skyline just killed me the whole time playing Asylum, because you're looking out like, it looks so good.
Like, let me go over there.
But I did kind of like the sense of being trapped. It was almost kind of like a horror game. Almost kind of Resident Evil vibes. You know, it's just like, I can't get out of here. You know, and like, do they destroy the Batmobile at one point?
No, they try to. It's just parked outside. Yeah. And then you use it to take out Bane or Croc. I mean, it hits Croc. Yeah.
But yeah, great. I know you want to talk about the introduction. Like, I think one of my favorite things about that is just how slow it is, and how they give you the agency to look around, like the beginning of Last of Us. How they let you move the camera so you can really absorb it. So it's not only something where I enjoyed that I got to experience that from my perspective. I'm sure on a second or third or fourth playthrough, however many times you played Asylum, you're like, it's great to just, I'm going to look out the back window the whole time, just, you know, now, or like, I'm just going to stare at Joker. And there was like, dude, chill. I just remembered this right now. Chills, man. I remember being in the elevator with Joker, and they're talking, and like I think you can go into camera mode.
Uh-huh.
And I think I like looked in and was like looking at all the characters, and I looked at Joker, and he was like,
Yeah.
and looked right at me, and like was not a cutscene. He was not saying anything specific. I think Gordon or someone else was talking, and he just like looked, and I'm like, is that an accident? Like, is that character model just happened to be looking where I'm standing, or is like the game knowing like, no, he's right there, and like there's nothing like that.
Yeah. Lights go off, and then you can grab him.
Yeah.
So good. Love when Croc comes out of the elevator. But yeah, let's talk about the villains of the first game. So you have Joker and Harley, clearly. They're running the show. This is Joker's party, you know. He organized the breakout, organized this whole elaborate trap for Batman. So, you know, in that sense, it's focused. And then, of course, a couple other villains get set free. You have Scarecrow popping out. You know, and you get that beautiful scene in the morgue where you come back out of the morgue and it does the whole, you know, Batman, Bruce Wayne, his parents. Like, I don't care how many times we relive Batman and his parents dying in Crime Alley. I could do it 100 times.
I think I referred to it as like that section.
Yeah.
Because I think now when we look back at all of Arkham, there's so many memories, you know, so many great moments from all the games, including Origins. But like when it was just Asylum, and I would talk to people like, have you finished yet? And they were like, yeah. I'm like, how about that level, huh? And they were like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I remember just popping through that door and being like, wait, what was oh, here we go. Like I knew it. Like I didn't know we were gonna get into him, but get into that memory specifically. But I was like, oh, this part's gonna be sweet. And I remember actually going into it, I was not a big fan of the Scarecrow. It was very like Freddy Krueger for me. Yeah, like just the design.
Okay.
Going into when I saw trailers and screenshots and art going, I was like, whoa, he was very like want to get high, like from the Dream Warriors, you know, like it's just like, all right, it's kind of like the suffering, you know, like it just seems like a little bit over the top. And then like while I still think that you know the design is a little hokey, clearly the best, you know, some of the best segments of that game, no question. Yeah. Even if it was like kind of stealth silly that he's like blasting lasers at you and stuff like that.
Just like trapped in your mind. And I thought it was so clever. And
I remember, did I ever give you the animated series Bible? I should let you borrow that.
Yeah, no.
The show Bible.
Okay.
So they have, this is before anyone's written any episode of the animated series.
Yeah.
And this is like a diagram of like how tall everyone is and like, and there was the most interesting page is here's what we don't want to do. And they're like, all of you are probably really excited about working on Batman, and you probably have a lot of ideas in your head. Here's what we're not going to do. And number one on that list is we're not going to talk about his parents being killed at all.
Ever.
And they eventually got back to it a little bit, but they were like, please, please, please. It's kind of like Spider-Man getting bit. It's like, we've done that. Let's not. That's why you watch like the Snyder movies, and you're just like, oh God, the funeral. You're like, again? And so it was interesting in the Arkham games to return to give us the scene we've seen a billion times, but they knew, Rocksteady knew, like, you've never played it before. Like, you've never been in that moment. And then they doubled down on it in the VR, which we don't need to get into, but then actually placing you in that moment, having, you know, Joe come up, you know, stare you in the face.
Epic.
So clever and such a great, just a great opportunity to take advantage of as the developers.
Totally. The video game side of it.
And Clayface, right? For just a hot second.
In the first game,
Yeah.
In
just
the cell,
little Clayface tease as Gordon.
You you look at him, and when you turn around, you can hear him morph. And
I think he laughs too. I think he giggles.
Yep.
And you're like, huh? And you turn out as Gordon, like stuck in there.
And he's like the mayor too, or the warden Sharp.
Yeah.
Warden Sharp. Then we have Croc in there. You have to go down to the sewers to get the sample. And you have Croc like hunting you in the sewers.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta like stealth your way through.
Fear in a Batman game, like for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Actually being like afraid of something. Actually
charging you. It's so cool. And yeah, sure, you just throw the Batarang at him and you do that kind of a bunch of times, but it's still a really cool fight. I enjoy it.
And I think represents what I like most about one of the things I love most about Batman is like he goes up against Bane and Croc and these and even outside of universe like Grodd or Solomon Grundy, like these really big indestructible people, and he's got to think like, okay, I just can't. I'm not Superman. It can't be a slugfest. I got to be smart. And so like while some people are kind of frustrated about that, it's like.
Well, that's why I love the Bane fight in Origins. So good.
Yeah.
So
and the helicopter there and everything. Yeah, it's such a bit. That's it. That little like 40-minute chunk is probably one of my favorite of the whole Arkham series. Like leading up to like Joker falling and him saving him and the Joker like this Batman guy.
So good.
But Yeah, and I think I don't know if you had another topic. I have a specific Arkham topic that I want to bring up that I think was set up too well almost in Arkham Asylum, and then something they kept going back to, and by the time we got to Night, I was just like, ugh, like again. And that was that there's a lot of cops in there. You know, there's a lot of doctors and nurses and public servants of Gotham City that are now stuck inside of this building.
Yeah.
And even patients. Like, I think I almost kind of sympathize too for a lot of these guys that were coerced by Joker and these other people and just, you know, in a severe mental state. And so Batman comes running in on their turf and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to defend myself. And so I never really felt like, you dummies, I'm gonna beat you all up. It was like, I'm just trying to push past you to get to the real people that are causing problems. And so there's a lot of like rescuing. There are a lot of hostage situations. I just want like with Zaz, which we haven't brought up yet.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's like very specifically, it shows
Super
you like
cool.
via stealth, like how to subvert or how to get in there and stop a situation like this, which Batman frequently comes across. And I really liked that vibe of you reclaiming these areas, you being able to go back to rooms, and there are policemen there that are like still hiding because like we can't leave, just like you, and just kind of slowly like rescuing these people. And I feel like City and Night kept doing that. You know, like, oh, the firemen, we gotta get the firemen.
Yeah.
And you're just like, just change it up. Give me like more news people or something, or like
the political prisoners.
give me like
in
a big
City.
room, a ballroom full of civilians or something. Just something where it's just not like cops and firemen again. And you know,
I even after playing them all, I wanted a scene like I kept going back to the Dark Knight when the cops are going up the stairs to the Joker guys and Morgan Freeman's in his ear.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He's like scanning. I wish there were moments like that where like NPC cops were like gonna
Yeah.
bust in somewhere,
Yeah.
and you had a timer and you had to like make sure that they were okay, but you had to stop the criminals.
or like a
Or
sense,
sort of situations like that.
or like a sense of like maybe even you have freedom to like, do you even want to let the cops know you're there, or possibly situations where like if you don't, they might shoot at you because they don't know, you know,
Yeah.
like they're freaked out, and if they get gassed or if it's really dark or really smoky or something, like you might take a bullet if you're not paying attention. So yeah, that would be interesting, but it's like, yeah, hard to critique these groundbreaking,
Totally.
not only Batman games, just comic book games. You
Yeah.
know, like really not looking at how do you do superheroes in gaming, like how do you do Batman specifically? Like how do you take advantage of these tools?
Yeah,
And,
so let's talk about the gadgets and stuff in one, just the way you progress. So you obviously get like the remote hacking device, which is one of the biggest ones. You know, you can like fiddle with all the doors, very Batman. You have the explosive gel, you can like blow open walls and whatnot. But I really like in the first game the line launcher. Just like the
Yeah.
you can like go on top of it and
can you like flip? You can like
Yeah.
flip and go in other directions.
yeah,
and
and like
stuff.
kind
Yeah.
of, and then the enemies like will taunt you from places that you can't get. They think you can't get to them.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. They're like, "What are you gonna do over there, Batman?"
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just like launch over. Pew!
I know we're talking about gadgets, but man, that might one of my favorite things about these games is the audio moving between different henchmen and you actually seeing who's talking.
Yeah.
And so I would sit there in time, like one of my favorite things to do was time when he's just like, yeah, man, we got to be careful because Batman's here. It's like, I'm not afraid of Batman. Boom. Like just mid-sentence, like knocking him out and having those guys freak out.
So good.
Seeing the heart rate and seeing like their dialogue changing like as you freak them out.
One of the most divisive fights in the game, and actually very important to the whole trilogy here. Something I want to talk about is Poison Ivy. Very important to these Arkham games.
Yeah.
So in Asylum, when Ivy gets let loose, it goes Dragon Ball style, Jones. All the plants come up, like takes it to another like supernatural level. Plants go everywhere. All her like proximity mine plants are kind of scattered around. Remember, they shoot the little balls at you if you don't sneak up on them.
Right.
And her
I'm
fight.
fuzzy on this fight, I got to admit.
So her fight is she's in a cocoon and there's like other big plants and they're shooting down at you, and then she kind of like raises the plants on you. It's very video gamey,
Sure.
but I feel like it fits in the context of Arkham Asylum.
Well, and
I'm
Ivy.
right.
I mean, you even look at like some of the fights from the animated series, and like that's a classic video game boss fight structure. Like that's the way that Ivy fights. Like she's very minion based. She's very constant resource
So
based.
glad you said that.
There's a lot of cutting out of vines. There's a lot of like being trapped.
Yeah.
You know, like you never see Poison Ivy punch Batman. Like this is not that kind of fight. So like, yeah, no, I actually don't remember that being a polarizing fight. I thought that was fine.
Cool. And then I'm glad you said video game, because it is Batman in the context of a video game, and they don't forget that. Rocksteady knows that. You know, I think Riddler being like basically the final boss of Arkham Knight, of this entire thing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's and he even has a line where he's like don't have 100% completion yet, Batman. I bet that's gnawing at your completionist mind, like just tormenting you and like digging the knife in. It's so great. So back to Asylum, the ending now. You know, you go to confront Joker. It's the final showdown, and while the fight itself isn't great, I do love fighting him with his henchmen. Just classic Batman versus Joker and a bunch of henchmen.
Sure, yeah.
Always love fights like that. So I could do that a million times over and over. Just Joker in the fight, but you gotta save him for last.
Yeah.
But he injects the Titan formula, which is a modified Venom formula. Bane is in this game too, but it's kind of lame. You just like throw the Batarang, he runs into the wall.
Yeah.
Hit him a bunch of times. But he injects the Titan formula into him because he thinks the only way for you to stop him is to do it yourself. So he's taunting you. He's like, come on, Batman, juice up, you know? Inject yourself. You've got to do it. And Batman has that moment where he's about to. He's like, maybe I can't stop hulked out Joker. And he's like, no, I won't. I love that Joker wanted him to, like, ingest the formula. I thought that was a very, like, cool twist on Joker. And I totally would think, like, believable mission.
Yeah.
You know, push Batman so hard all the way, lock him in the asylum, have all these other guys kind of weaken him. Final showdown, you know, ingest the Venom, and then hopefully he has to do it too.
I'm mixed on the ending because while a lot of people complain that I think the big thing is that everything has like led to this question mark. You know, it's kind of like this is the ultimate. This is the last card in Joker's hand is like this weird super like roided out Joker. It doesn't seem like
I think it's more of him wanting you to do it though.
Sure, and like taunting Batman and stuff like that. I think that is something Joker would do. I wouldn't put that past him. Yeah. I enjoy the jokiness. Joker likes to dress up. He likes to put on different outfits, you know. And so like him like being big, like look at me, I'm buff. Yeah, like that seems very like him. It seems like something he would do. I think it was just it literally being the end. It being like this is the finale. It was kind of like okay.
Yeah.
What a weird dumb thing.
Totally.
Joker's doing. It's a kind of like
I don't enjoy
how do you like me now?
I don't enjoy the fight. I enjoy the context of it all. So.
But yeah, and it doesn't necessarily like while the Venom is interesting and I guess in a sense medically, like you think of Asylum, it is a hospital, I guess. So like I could see the connection between the serum and the hospital, but like Bane and Arkham are not two things I necessarily like associate, and so it was weird having like this weird Bane / Joker ending to an Asylum game.
Yeah,
but
totally.
But that was just me. And I mean, Hamill's great, like throughout the entire thing. And so, and we, not to mention just the nightmare where you go through, you replay the opening.
Yes, Jones.
And
locked up. Oh, it's so great.
And just this idea of not only because that's a lot of what Batman is, because he's constantly around crazy people, and you know how is he crazy? Could he be crazy? Something that that's what Killing Joke is all about. Is Joker trying to prove that anybody could? And so not only does he have to put up with like staring at Joker, and like I just saw Death of Superman, and like even like being around Flash and having Flash be like, yeah, Batman, and he's just like, I don't have time for this, like, and so just constant like just trying to be a metronome, trying to be balanced, and have his personality plateau, and Joker like constantly trying like to have change that. Such a great moment of him like constrained and just being like, I just got to get through this. I just got to breathe and meditate, and like trying to put you in that situation as a player where you're like, am I doing this right? Am I going to fail this?
Yeah.
And you like, in being like, oh, I'm in the nightmare, cool, but having that feeling in the back of your head, like, what am I supposed to do right now? And so like kind of ties into like where Batman's head would be, where he's like, I just got to wait, find the opportunity, and then I know I'll get out. Or at worst, this dream will end at some point. So.
And one of the most legendary Easter eggs of all time, too, hinting at
bunch.
The next game.
A ton.
The room in Sharp's office, just detailing Arkham City, just out of control.
For GT, I did a history of Arkham video and went back and looked at like the big moments from Arkham in the comics, and it was funny because a lot of them I didn't know, and they brought up like different characters and stuff like that, and so there were just like empty offices. I'd go in and be like, "That's the guy," that's the Jeremiah Arkham, or like all these other little like doctor names and stuff like that they just really put in really subtly.
There's one too where you hear just a news broadcast from a radio, and they're talking about like Gotham and Batman's on Arkham Island. You know, it's just so you just are there. There's just such an incredible sense of place in all of these games. Lastly, to wrap up Asylum, you don't have that much utility. You can do the inverted takedowns. I think is one of the coolest things. You know, hanging upside down from a gargoyle,
which like
swooping down with the cape and just sucking someone up,
which like never gets old. And again, don't want to go into Origins because it's not a Rocksteady thing, but that was the only one that had multiplayer. And did you ever play that multiplayer, man?
Yes.
You do that live to someone.
Yes.
I like in an Arkham sense, in a Batman sense. Like I don't know if I've had more satisfying moments playing a video game than having a live player, like two real human beings. And one guy's like, I don't see. Where'd you go? Just like, no, but you grab his friend. So you grab someone right next to some other guy that's not looking, and then he turns around and like, I can't, you know, and like there's the environments are so busy, even when you went back up, like I can't see you. And like, oh, so satisfying.
Bring it back. So yeah, but also too, the game, even Asylum, you don't have as much utility, but I still love how great you get by the end of the game at just like flying down right behind someone, crouching stealth takedown, shoot back up, fly to that side of the room. You just feel like Batman even right out of the gate in Asylum, and I love it.
It does have a little bit of the Metroid, oh, I lost my powers again, I got to get them all back nonsense, where it's just like, it doesn't really make sense why he wouldn't show up at Arkham like ready to go, like why he's got to get back to the Batmobile to get his gadget.
I think you start with some of the devices, though, in City.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and you have to start as Bruce Wayne, too. We'll get into that
That's
now.
Yeah.
So next up, Arkham City. We go open world. And, oh, yeah, Jones is getting emotional. Arkham City.
My favorite.
Me too, Jones. Spoiler alert. It's both of our favorites. Little pre-order nonsense. Get this out of the way. There was Catwoman was like pre-order bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But now, I think it just comes with it now. Who knows? Anyway, it is integrated into the campaign. So when you boot up City, you start as Catwoman.
Yeah.
Prologue, pulling off a job against Two-Face, stealing diamonds. I love this. Catwoman in City is one of my favorite parts, and we'll get to that as we talk about City now. Really high stakes intro. Do you remember this intro with the white background? So clean. It's a white background. Hugo Strange is talking maliciously. And it's just like Batman.
I remember,
Arkham.
I remember white was like their color scheme for the trailer. The box art, I believe, was white. A lot of the trailers
Game
like had him. It was him with like the red blood on his face with the white background, and aesthetically it was very engaging. Yeah.
So this game opens with Hugo Strange just revealing to you, like, I know your identity, Bruce Wayne. Whoa! Right out of the gate. The villain, the main villain, quotations, knows that you're Batman. Like, what is this gonna do? This is horrible. We need to like think about this. So you get locked up as Bruce Wayne, which is so great because you never got to be Bruce Wayne in Arkham Asylum. And just busting out from the inside is so epic. You're with Jack Ryder in the intro, walking through. He's like, Bruce Wayne, what are we gonna do? And you just like, calm down, Jack. Like, all these inmates are taunting you, like, Bruce Wayne, oh man, I'm gonna beat your ass. Like, so you get out of here, and Penguin had some deal with Hugo Strange, I think. Like, Penguin gets you, and he takes you to a back alley, and he's gonna take you out. And you don't want to reveal your fighting moves too much.
Right.
You know, you're thinking in your head, like, all right, I got to play this cool. So you, like, use the guy's head to, like, bust out of your handcuffs. You take Penguin out, and then you get the suit on the roof. You're in contact with Alfred, who I love in this game, too.
I like that
Teaming
moment
up
with Alfred, yeah.
And you're kind of free now to go take out the city. But the first things first, you hear a radio call. Two-Face has Catwoman. So you have to go rescue Catwoman straight out of the gate.
Two-Face, not in Asylum, you know, so great to just get him right out of the way. And for me, probably my favorite villain in any medium is probably Joker, but like personally, I think one of my favorite characters in just because of his connection to Bruce and the real tenuous sense of like can he be reformed, like am I able to like beat my old friend up and like get past this point to like make sure this, you know, he gets the care that he needs. So yeah, jumping right into having this triangle between Catwoman and Two-Face, it's great.
Going in, and again, the way the villains chop up the city. So Two-Face has the courthouse. Penguin has the iceberg lounge. Joker has Ace Chemicals. Like the way everyone has set up, I think for me, what makes City so great is how well it's the best of both worlds. It's open world. I have this level of freedom where I can kind of tackle who I want when I want in terms of the side quests. But it kind of opens up the side quests as you progress, and it just feels so natural, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't lower the stakes of Hugo Strange trying to take out the city. You know, every once in a while, you'll hear countdown to whatever initiative or protocol. I forget the exact name, but it's like
that's right.
Hugo Strange's like mission. It's like 9 hours until launch or whatever. And as you go through the game, 7 hours till launch, like ticking down.
Yep.
So you have that in the back of your mind, but you're not losing the urgency with trying to take out different people. And I think it's great too because you're trying to stop Hugo Strange, but even right out of the gate, it's like Catwoman got caught by Two-Face. Let me go grab her. You know, different people will taunt you as you go through.
Not to mention, huge Escape from New York fan. And LA. LA is fun, but like New York is such a gem. And what a clever setup to have them locked off in this like Arkham, sized, variant of Gotham City where like, we just put up this big wall. And because like for me in open world games, walls are like my enemy.
Yeah.
Like how are you going to stop me from getting out of here?
Totally.
And I love just this giant barbed wire wall of China with helicopters and big search that you're like, all right, cool, got it. I just thought it was a very clear line and it didn't break the immersion for me, which is why we'll get to it. But like in Night, I was like, just like kind of bummed that like, here we go, finally. And I remember like being concerned because everyone was like, when we finished Asylum, and I was like, oh, man, this game sold like gangbusters, reviewed really well. I hope it gets a sequel. And it was like, it's totally gonna get a sequel. We're going to Gotham. It's gonna be rad. It's gonna be huge. And I'm like, and look like this game. This game looks so good. How the heck did they do that? Like make a city that big and have that be something that we can, fly around as Batman.
Totally.
And so like just having this kind of middle road of like, we're just gonna have these specific sections, and it's gonna feel more scary because, like you're saying, like they have all the villains have it on lockdown. So like you're on their turf. So like there is no safe place to be.
Like Penguin is threatening in this game. He has so many goons, so much tech. Like Penguin is not fooling around, which I love. But let's talk about that, Jones. Let's talk about the boss fights, because, in my opinion, Arkham City has the strongest fights of the trilogy. Origins has some phenomenal ones, of course. Deathstroke, 10 out of 10. But I really want to talk about City's boss fights in particular. First up, let's talk about Two-Face. You bust in on him in the courthouse. You kind of take him out, take out his goons. Catwoman like scratches him. You get out of there pretty easily. But then he comes back near the end of the game, and you have to like sneak up on him a bunch of times. He has this kind of room on lockdown, and that happens again in Night. Two-Face is a very cool fight because he has guns. He has a lot of minions, and it's always like a stealth Predator takedown. Like, of course, you come up on Two-Face, you give him a couple punches, he's going to go down. But he just has a lot of minions around the room.
Yeah.
And I appreciate fights like that, where it's like, all right, one-on-one, I can take him, but, like, if I drop down, his people are going to see me, he's going to see me and shoot me.
Well, and that's one thing also that Arkham, the whole series, emphasizes that I remember just, like, being so satisfied when I played the first game, and they've done it throughout, is bullets are scary.
Yeah.
Like you can't get shot many times.
Yes.
And so even like in and like anytime I criticize Batman, I love Batman in all of its forms.
Yeah.
Like I'm always down for any new Batman, anything.
Yeah.
But like even like in '89, like going back and rewatching the Keaton one and having him just like pew 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 like Wonder Woman, and I'm like, oh, like to me, the ultimate Batman is the Batman that doesn't need to deflect or block a bullet.
Doesn't get seen.
You don't even see him, like he doesn't even, you're not even in that situation. And so setting up the fights that way was, yes. Even if
like
it is.
When Two-Face is cruising through an environment, like, come out, Bat, it's just epic, dude. I get so giddy when I'm hearing Two-Face, like, calling you out, and you're just looking. Like, those simple pleasures of being Batman throughout,
Yeah.
Jones. Give me one simple pleasure of yours. Well, I guess you said earlier, like when they're taunting you.
Yeah.
Like,
or talking to each other, you know, like disabling their guns without them knowing.
Yeah, dude.
So they go to shoot. What the heck? You know, and like,
So then,
great. Yeah, going into a fight, knowing exactly how it's gonna go, and having all of them be like, okay, we're all gonna fight him, and it's like, I'm 5 minutes ahead of you. Like, I've been watching you this whole time. I've disabled 2 of your weapons. I know I'm gonna batarang that guy to stun him while I fight this guy. And then I have 5 outs. I can go through this grate here. I can smoke bomb and jump. I can zip over there. So it's just like, this is, I mean, yes, I'm playing a video game, but at the same time, like, these are all of the things that Batman thinks of going into a fight. Yeah. And that's one of the first things, Hubert, back in the day when I was reading comics in the 80s when Bruce Wayne looked like Tom Hanks and, like, he was very blue. And, like, one of my favorite things was he'd be, like, in the middle of a fight and have just, they were all speech bubbles. Like, in every moment, he's like, okay. And this was, like, kind of the evolution of, like, oh, I brought my shark spray, you know, like, from the 60s. But, like, it was, like, how can we make that more practical and less goofy and actually show, like, when he recognizes he's in a difficult situation and needs to remove himself, or, like, when he's fighting someone and needs to adjust himself. That's why Bane is so great in the comics, because he's like, I give up. I don't know. I'm out of ideas. And that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, and City, Jones, I'm glad you're talking about this now, because City gives you those tools to really strategize and pinpoint and, you know, set up an encounter, which I love, you know, disrupting their guns, using the disarm and destroy combo move. It's my favorite move in these games, Jones, when you take apart their gun. Yeah. It's so satisfying. Like, someone's over there with a gun, you take this guy out, you leap to him, just so cool.
The batarang pulling the guy to the clothesline.
Yes.
I do excessively because it's so great. Also, one thing, correct me if I'm wrong, that changed a lot in City is there were a lot of, like, random groups. Whereas, like, in Asylum, you're clearing that building. So you go back to places and it's empty, nobody's there anymore. Whereas City,
but they'll come back.
Eventually,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
Whereas in City, though, you're on, like, street corners, so, like, there's a lot of more of just random people, and just so much fun to drop in on them, get a little XP, you know, just like.
It has the move where you the shockwave, when you can go straight down, land for a second, then. And we didn't even talk about that, being able to glide in City. Yeah. Just the open world, holding the R2, getting the boost dive. It has those AR challenges, which are so fun, just like, you know, learning how to fly and going under bridges and through alleyways and
grabbing random dudes is fun because when you're inside of a structure, they have a little lead on you. They know you're coming, and so they're already searching for you where they're walking around. It's still fun to creep up on them. Whereas when you find somebody on the open world, they have no idea. They're just hanging out with their crime buddies talking, and then just like you sweep down and beat them up.
Couple more epic boss fights, Jones. We got Penguin, who has Mr. Freeze hostage. Do you remember this?
Yes.
It's got Mr. Freeze hostage. And Penguin, well, I think you fight Mr. Freeze first, though. So you fight Mr. Freeze. Let's talk about that fight straight away, because that is the most legendary fight, Jones, because you have to use every tool in your arsenal. This is a stealth fight where you cannot repeat your moves because he adapts to you. Right. So you have to use so good. And on the harder, like if you do it on hard or New Game Plus, you have to do even more separate moves. This is just a hell of a fight, and you know it's an uneasy alliance. You don't really have a quarrel with each other, but you know he doesn't trust you. He wants to take you out. And I just love this, you know, having to do the stealth takedowns from the top, having to use all your different gadgets, turning the water on when he's in it, to electrocute him, corner takedowns, you know, window smashes.
And a lot of these bosses in these games, too, have almost kind of like a Mike Myers sense, because you can detective, you know, mode like the whole boss arena, so you can see them wherever they're at, and they're just slowly plodding, making their way over, like, where you are, and, like,
menacing. Got you, Batman.
And that's one of the things I love about the Rogues Gallery is they're all different flavors of dangerous. You know, like you have Joker, and like he's in the camp of like the crazies. Then you have Croc, and he's and Bane, and like the big tough guys who are not super smart, but like they're a bull in a china shop. So you gotta like not only be careful because they're much stronger than you, but like, you know, don't want them harming other people in trying to get to you. But you talk about Freeze, and Freeze is in like the Riddler camp, where like they're not dumb, they're very, very smart men, but they just like they just underestimate you or don't like at some point I think they even expect, even though Riddler like does call him out, like I get the vibe from Mr. Freeze is he's just like, just let me do this. Like, why are you like, I think sometimes Mr. Freeze like might not expect Batman to show up because he's like, this doesn't really concern you, man. Like, I'm not like trying to hurt you or call you out or like, stop someone you care about. I'm just doing the thing that I'm doing. So yeah, so that there's a perfect setup for a fight with him to have to like constantly reevaluate what you're doing and not have him just be like all Looney Tunes. Like he's like a very balanced, just
he knows what's up.
Just no nonsense, like unapologetic bad guy.
So we didn't even talk about, kind of Batman's mission in this game. You are poisoned because Joker stabs you with a mixture of his blood. So you have Joker's blood mixed with the Titan formula. So Batman gets infected, and you're trying to find a cure for this whole game. You're just trying to hang on. You're getting more angry as the night goes on. And
seeking reassurance from Alfred.
And that's why you get Freeze, because you're looking for a cure, looking for an antidote this whole game. So you're stopping them one by one. I love too that Freeze fight is in the old GCPD building. You don't go back there in the next game. It's like the older one. Your investigation eventually leads you to old Gotham, which I love all this lore, Jones. Old Gotham from the 80s and Wonderland, and Gotham City was built on top, and you go in the sewers and like you see all the animatronics. So cool. Again, just the sense of place in these games.
The set dressing in the Arkham games, I would posit
the best in the biz.
Is the best. This is the best thing in the series. Is like, and it's I think one of the best remnants of Asylum, where they took the world building that they done. We're not world. It's the building. But you like just really like walking into a room and just eye candy everywhere. And then being like, how can we do that on a mass scale? And then have the city look a particular way, but then have you drill into these little specific locations. And
beware the gray ghost posters and the terror posters all around.
The Clayface actor posters when he used to be an actor.
So you go to Wonder Tower, you're just hanging on. You're hanging on for dear life. Talia al Ghul shows up. Things start getting serious. You need a little pick-me-up. Little Lazarus Pit, Jones. Remember this? Drinking from the demon, like drinking it from the chalice. This is amazing. You just straight up lie to Talia. You're like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do it. Yeah, I'll kill some people. Let's go. Like, I'll take the trials. Yeah. So you take these trials to see if you're worthy, and like it does the whole. You go to like the desert. Do you remember this? And you're chasing Ra's al Ghul kind of like through these different environments, and you fight Ra's al Ghul in some big showdown. It's all in your head, of course. You take a little of that, and you're like, nah, like I was just lying. Like, joke's on you. And you fight the real Ra's al Ghul. It's awesome.
Right.
He's got the sword and everything. Really cool fight, because he's expert martial artist. He can go toe-to-toe with Batman. So you fight him. Then, of course, you get to Hugo Strange. You learn, okay, Ra's al Ghul was pulling the strings this whole time. He tricked Hugo Strange into tricking Warden Sharp to set up Arkham City. This is all Ra's al Ghul, League of Shadows, destroy Gotham. Did you like that payoff?
Batman Begins all over again.
Yeah.
I was way down for some kind of a twist. Like I love that, and like the hidden benefactor the whole time.
Yeah.
And he definitely is somebody. He definitely is like the puppet master type of villain. So like it makes sense. Sometimes one thing that I don't like is when they'll. I love the. Mixture of the different Rogues Gallery characters. Like I love putting them together, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, and seeing what happens. But like I hate when they put different characters together and they're just like, yeah, let's go get Batman. And it's like that's it. Like where you just have this sense for these villains that like they just always hate Batman. They're just always going to go out of their way to do some big plan that's just going to get them thrown in jail at the end of the day. Where Ra's al Ghul is one of those characters that like I could see him, being the shadow, being like the one behind the scenes. So
love that. Then of course he gets knocked out of Wonder Tower, impaled, body gone though. You go back, body gone. Really cool. Also, other side quests. You got Deadshot assassinating people.
Yeah.
Kind of following the clues. That's another thing that City did.
Love it.
Putting
the trajectory.
all the clues together
really, really good.
is outstanding. Love that stuff.
Isn't Hush in it for 5 seconds?
Hush is in it for 5 seconds. Yep.
Really, really hard to get.
Taunts you.
Yeah.
Very, very secret. Yeah.
You got to pay attention to that stuff and pick up on those signals.
Totally. Mad Hatter as well.
Mad Hatter's one of my favorites.
Yes.
Because when you stop him, he's in that room, and you can go back to that room anytime, and he's still like, "Can you get me out of here?" And he's still just like tied up in a chair.
I'll tell you, Bane is the worst in this game, Jones, and it really bums me out because his mission is cool, and I love the carryover from game to game, right? So you meet up with Bane, and he's like, "Yo, Batman, I've got no quarrel with you. All this Titan formula's out there. I can't let it get into the wrong hands." Like straight up uneasy alliance. He's like, there's 12 of them out there. I'll get 6. You get the other 6. We'll meet back here. So throughout the whole game, you're cleaning up, and you can't even get the last one until like way late in the game. So you clean them all up, and then you come back, and you like lock him in an elevator. Right. Remember that tiny little fence? Yeah. He's like, "Oh, when I get out of here, Batman, you're Bane trapped behind an elevator." Like,
it's weak.
Half baked, yeah. And then you never see him again. Yeah. Doesn't show up in night.
Oh, he doesn't.
That's it.
Still stuck in that elevator.
Still stuck in that elevator. It's like, what in the world? Anyway,
I was surprised we didn't get. I mean, we can maybe like transition into night a little bit, but like, I was surprised. I was surprised they didn't do everybody. Like some people didn't come back.
Yeah.
From it before, but like, got to talk about that last fight though. And
the finale. So this could be my favorite video game ending of all time, Jones.
Wow.
This honestly, you talk about video game endings. This is the one. So. You meet at the Monarch Theater, which is right outside Crime Alley, very emotional spot. You bust in, Joker's there. Shoots Talia al Ghul dead. Shoots her dead. Other Joker shows up. You're like, what in the world is going on here? The big Clayface reveal. Why, Carlo? For the role of a lifetime. Not only did he get to be Joker, but if he took you out, he would have disguised as Batman. That was the ultimate role to play, is Batman. It's just so epic. You use all your tools in this one, too. You, like, freeze him with the freeze blast. You get the Ra's al Ghul sword in this fight.
I know, but that's in the second phase when you drop and he becomes like a bunch of different
fight. They're setting all the Mudmen after you.
So it's Mudmen, right?
Yeah.
But I just remember how fast
like
jumping around, and I remember thinking at the time, like, it kind of reminded me of the gravity gun at the end of Half-Life 2, where it's like there is a bit of tactics to it, but like you do kind of get to just unleash a little bit, you know. And like I thought it was a good line of like, this is not the toughest thing in the world, but I do have to kind of finesse and like pay attention to warnings and dodge and stuff like that. But like you do kind of get a sense of empowerment at the same time. Just kicking his ass.
The most epic thing about this, Jones, is you can track this the whole game. If you detective mode sometime, at one point you can see no bones. So it's Clayface.
Oh.
There's like a car outside of a building at one point. The windows are covered with mud. Just Clayface pulling, doing Joker's bidding throughout.
That's awesome.
Just insane.
That's awesome.
So he gets taken out in the Lazarus pit too. Just fan service overload here. You have Joker. You have the cure. He comes up behind you. You drop it. He freaks out. Batman, the best line of the night. Want to know what's funny? I would have given you the cure. Joker's like, that's the best joke you've ever said. Just lying. Dies with a smile on his face. Batman carries Joker out. Joker is dead. Dead at the end of this game. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, but again, you're Rocksteady. It's like, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, what are we afraid of? Like, who knows how this is going to sell? Who knows how many of these we're going to get to make again?
Yeah.
There's so many characters. There's so much going on in the DC universe. There's so many directions we can take this series in. Let's do it. And what a fun way, I think, like, to wrap up their story where Paul Dini had an amazing quote one time when he was talking about Return of the Joker, and he said, a lot of people love to do big theatrics when it comes to the quote-unquote final fight between Batman and Joker, however you do Dark Knight Returns, like having all these different scenarios. And he's like, I don't like the big roller coaster ride. He's like, to me, it would be intimate, it would be ugly, and it would be sad. It would be unfortunate. You wouldn't be like, yeah! You'd be like, you need to take a shower after,
Yeah.
you know, and like, and I like that they set that up, that it was, you know, here Joker, all he had to do is trust Batman. You know, all he had to do is kind of just for once, like if he was really scared and he was really, and you don't really know kind of at the end of the day, like if he really was fearing death, if he was upset how the whole thing turned out. But you get the sense that like all he had to do is just let it happen, and it's fine, and Joker can't, you know. He's got to seize those opportunities, he's got to have the upper hand, and then it ends up killing himself by attacking Batman. And I hadn't really seen that happen in a lot of Batman storytelling, so I thought that was really
and the redemption
really
too of the first game's ending versus the second game's ending. It's like, all right, you nailed it.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Oh yeah, no, and
compared to Asylum's ending, you know.
I went back. I've played City twice.
Nice.
And the second time I went back, I don't know why I did. I remember going back and playing it, and I remember replaying that ending and being like, this ending is so much better than I remember it being.
Cities?
Yeah. And just being surprised. Like I was like, oh yeah, I remember it was Joker, but like that fight, I'm like, oh, I forgot you get a sword, and I forgot you're just flying all over the place. Cause so many different great stages to it, and very clear, because that was the question when it not only thematically, you know, Asylum versus City, but when I was in that Joker fight, I was like, is this the end? I didn't know. You know, it was like, oh, he's the big guy, but maybe he'll shrink and then I'll be fighting somebody else or something like that. Whereas like when you have the sword and you're messing up Clayface, like this is the end. There's no question. Like this is definitely the finale of this video game. Like yeah.
And then of course to go back to Catwoman too before we wrap this up. She's got a couple cool missions in there. I love going back to her apartment to get some supplies.
That's what I need. That's what I need from Spider-Man.
Two-Face's goons are there. Like, yeah, her apartment's around here somewhere. Like, Two-Face sent us over here. Like, watch out for it. It's really cool. You know, you leap down, get those guys. Bomb blows up. You know, they like blew up her apartment. But there's a really cool moment too where it's near the end of the game. City's in chaos. She has a heist. You go down in there, steal the cash. You have the briefcases, and you're walking out, and you get to choose. Go this way to go back into the city to save Batman, or go this way and just get out with the cash.
Yeah.
They let you decide, and then of course that affects someone. Batman gets out regardless.
Right.
But if you go that way, she comes and bails you out.
And that's just always where I want Catwoman. Again, when we talk about villains pairing up, I'm always like iffy when Catwoman teams up with people. Like I really just see her as, you know, she's out on her own. And I frankly see Catwoman like thinking a lot of those other villains are like kind of dumb and crazy. Like why would I want it? Why would I want to be involved with like Joker? You know. And so I like that she's very self-sustaining. Like very much made sense of a character that they would allow you to play as. And then Robin didn't come in until DLC.
The DLC. Let's talk about the DLC before we move on to Night really quick.
Yeah.
Harley's Revenge.
Right. It was like 30 minutes long.
But no, but this is what I love, Jones, because Arkham Knight has a ton of DLC, and the game I think is worse for it in a way.
They're weird.
Whereas,
they're hit or miss, but definitely.
Yeah, because we'll get into it. But Harley's Revenge, it's still focused. It makes sense. You get to play as Robin. And it's after the events, so Harley is in mourning.
Yeah.
She's wearing like the veil, the black veil. And Robin and Oracle are talking like, you know, Batman hasn't been the same since Joker died. There's context here. Robin has some cool new gadgets. He has the shield to kind of block bullets. And the fights escalate as to where it's like, all right, you have to use all your tools in this fight. Everything you've learned in the main game, do it right now. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you take Harley out. Nothing crazy for the story, but it is cool to be Robin and to be able to talk to Oracle and have all that little stuff.
So good.
And then we get to Arkham Knight,
Yeah.
which has a bad rap, Jones. Now,
well, I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room before anything, which is you either like are okay with it or hate it more than anything, which is the Batmobile, which is like,
for sure.
I was.
But can I preface everything before we get too deep into it?
Sure.
Arkham Knight is my least favorite, but it is a phenomenal conclusion to this franchise.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I thought it wrapped it up well.
Yes.
You certainly get a jolt when you're all done. Especially if you unlock everything and like get that special ending.
So
you're
that
like,
that needs to be stated. Like, sure, it might be the worst of the bunch,
right?
But the ending is phenomenal.
The worst Arkham game is still a really
still
good
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So go on. So let's talk about the intro first. These intros of these games.
Yeah.
You're a cop at Paulie's Diner. Paul Dini, little riff there. Paulie's did not write this one. Wrote Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Paul Dini did not write Arkham Knight. But you're a cop, first person in the diner. You get gassed. Everyone turns into freakos, and you can choose to shoot or not shoot. Going back and replaying it and not shooting anyone, you get some different dialogue.
Cool.
With that cop, and because the other cops are kind of.
I love you say going back and not shooting because we all shot. Like we all.
Totally. There's a line where it's like, "Wow, I can't believe you didn't shoot anyone." So context. Anyway. Batman Unhinged, right? Batman all-out war, Jones. Arkham Knight, the entire city is in war. This game starts with you taking the Batmobile and revving it on a guy's face.
Yeah, that's right.
Escalation.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this game, Jones. Because, again, this is a divisive one.
Yeah.
This is the most open world of them.
Just across the board, doesn't have anything to do with Batman, but one of my frustrations with people who critique stuff, because we critique stuff, it's part of our job, is when I either try to frame my opinions constructively or if I can, without being like, I'm a creative person too, suggest like maybe other ways it could go. You know, like they could do this, or this doesn't make sense because I don't think it fits within the context. And a lot of people are like, there's too many Batmobile missions. And it's like, well, what would you do if somebody showed up and had a bunch of drones? Like, just land on them one by one and disable them, you know, get on a keypad and type. Like, wouldn't it be an exciting, you know, it's like, I thought they set up a believable threat that would require the Batmobile to overcome.
Totally,
and I think it's an interesting way. Dark Knight Rises kind of gets into this, where it's just like a straight military takeover of the island, you know,
exactly.
Like, and I think if I was a villain and I was looking at Batman and thinking like, how can I stop this guy? Like one of the, or even like Luthor with Superman, like I think one of the biggest things would be just distraction. Just give him, like, don't focus in one area, give him too much to cover. And to me, one way of doing that is just like building a shitload of these tanks, you know, and just having, and getting into spoilers, like who the Knight turns out to be, like that's a character that would know, like, you got to get machines.
Oh, we have full spoiler warnings, don't worry.
You got to get big metal structures to go after him, make him be forced to bring the car.
We're gonna go to the end before we come back here, but I have to comment on this exact point. There is, to me, slightly too much Batmobile. Going back this time,
of course,
there were a couple side quests that didn't utilize it, which I was like, yes, forgot about these moments. Even in the campaign, a lot of moments where you don't use it. So you take Arkham Knight down, and it's like this big tank battle, right, Jones? You take out all of his goons. They have the giant tanks. Then he has like the really big destructive tank. You take him down, and Deathstroke comes to pick up the pieces of the militia.
Yeah.
If maybe you had a little less tanks in the main campaign against Arkham Knight, and then post-game Deathstroke, he comes with reinforcements or something.
Oh, okay.
To kind of separate it.
Yeah.
To kind of have the urgency
if
you
like the Batmobile stuff, you can keep doing it, but if you don't, skip it. Doesn't matter.
Because if you're keeping up with that stuff during the campaign, it just kind of slows the pace. It ruins the urgency.
Yeah.
Have an influx of tanks and soldiers and drones when Deathstroke comes on the scene. Also, the Deathstroke fight, trash. Absolute. This is the biggest letdown maybe of this entire game for me, Jones, because you have the wonderful Deathstroke fight in Arkham Origins, which is to me the hardest fight.
Yeah, really tough. Yeah,
because
I had to do that. When you brought up that fight, I was like, that fight. Oh yeah, I had to do it like 20 times.
Yeah, it is extremely hard. Like similar to Bane, like Deathstroke can go toe to toe with Batman.
Yeah.
And for Deathstroke to be another tank fight, that's how you stop him.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, would I have loved a 1 versus 100 with Deathstroke and just like, you want to take out the militia once and for all, you know? And he's even taunting you. He's like, come out of your tank, Batman.
Yeah.
Deathstroke is taunting you to get out of your tank, and he's in a tank. Come on. He's like, oh, you can clear the ground, Batman. I'll be on the rooftops. It's like, no, you're not. You're in a tank. Come on.
The other thing about the Batmobile, and we can move on, is I thought it was unique and just in its design. You know, like I think I think
especially with the Riddler challenges.
A lot of the people that were complaining about the tankish aspects, the strafing and the little boost strafe that you get, the laser grid fights where you're like you have to move away. It's almost kind of like a twin stick shooter kind of a vibe from like instead from top down, but like actually being in it. I wonder if someone had released a tank that wasn't Batman, that was just a tank game and had controls like that and looked like that. People would probably be like, "Hey, you should play this tank game. This tank game is really cool." And it's like it's just because it was added to Arkham. And it's like, I don't want to be doing this stuff. But I remember just playing it. And it's like I cannot. And to date, I can't recall a game that had a vehicle that moved like that. I thought that was cool.
Oh, the little like.
Yeah,
touches.
Just like having like a laser and like boop, 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 and then having them fire a rocket and then just right the last second like moving out of the way.
So cool.
Felt good.
So
excessive though.
Beautiful premise of this game. GCPD is like this giant fortress.
Yeah.
That you
great interior
are not only protecting but filling.
Yeah.
With all these goons and thugs and criminals.
And you can talk to them and their conversations change.
And it's so classic, too, because in City, when you take out Two-Face in the very beginning, you leave him hanging over acid. You just leave him there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll get out of here, Batman. And it's like, I don't have time for you, Two-Face. Like, I got to go. And he does get out.
Yeah.
And that's so great, but not in Night. It's like, no, I need to lock you up in this fortress. Like, everyone's getting locked up. This is the final night I'm going to be Batman because I'm unhinged. Because I have Joker in me, because I have this chemical in me, and you see Joker all night
I hate
long.
One of my favorite things that I hate to say, one of my least favorite things to say is when I'm like, I knew they were going to do that. I didn't know, but like I swear to you on my life, I had that thought before that game came out. I was like, God, you know what would be the best because they like
if he's in your head.
I think Hamill even said up front, I'm not in this. Yeah. Like he like lied. It was like, no. I would have loved to, but I'm done. And even like I think at that time he's gone back on that, but I think he said I'm retiring for the character. It's very hard. It's a hard character to do, and I've kind of overdone myself a little bit. I'm a little tired. And I just had that thought where I'm like, that would be so great if they had done that. And I wish I'd said it on a podcast or something. I wish there was like some document. I wish I tweeted it or something, like just called it. But when he first popped up, I was like,
it is
brilliant.
It is unbelievable. His dialogue, I feel bad. On Frame Trap, I criticized Troy Baker's Arkham Knight performance. And I don't think that's his fault. I think it's the direction. I think the Arkham Knight character is just boring. He doesn't have that Jason Todd, like it should be more personal than it is in his delivery. He's just very one note throughout the game, even as you're dismantling his troops. And I mean, he's been tortured. He's got PTSD. He would be very detached and removed, but I didn't feel anything that I should have been feeling with Arkham Knight and taking him down.
Jason specifically?
Jason Todd, yeah.
I didn't care at all.
Exactly. And wow, that is a terrible thing to say, right?
The very first time.
Yeah.
When like literally the very day, that was like, oh, it's called Arkham Knight? Cool. What's Arkham Knight? And they're like, oh, it's a character. It's like a guy with the mask.
At E3, I talked to the director. I was like, it's Jason Todd, right?
Like that day, I was like, oh, it's probably Jason Todd. Yeah. And they were like, we're not saying who it is yet. I'm like, well, then it's definitely Jason Todd. Yeah. You get to it. You're like, all right. And
granted, the second time through, knowing ahead of time, it's a little better. So you're not riding on this weird reveal.
I don't think making the Arkham Knight Jason Todd was the bad call. I think making Jason Todd the Arkham Knight a surprise, quote unquote, was the bad call. Like, I think it's something like, what if Batman had found out like almost right away? Yeah. And then was like, oh no. Like, well, I can't tell anybody because I don't want them to know, because if they find out, I can't out him because then they'll know who I am. They'll be able to draw lines between Jason and Dick and Bruce, and then this will get back to me. Yeah. So I just kind of got to deal with it. And then like maybe when they're fighting, he's like, I don't want to say this out loud in front of your troops, but like maybe he does get opportunities throughout the game that just kind of be like, Jason, please. And he's like, why are you calling me Jason? I'm not Jason. Like, Jason's dead. And then in the end, like, finally takes his mask off, like, I knew it was you. And
that's the problem, Jones, is you don't have enough encounters with him throughout the game.
Yeah.
There's a couple moments where he taunts you, a moment where like you gas him and he gasses away or whatever, but not enough fights with him, and that would have raised the stakes too. Like, Arkham Knight has no big one-on-one, like those Deathstroke style, Bane style fights, like push me to the limit physically as Batman. Like I didn't feel that, and Arkham Knight would have been a great villain and a believable villain to have those kind of intense fights where it's like, wow, I'm getting pushed to the limit, like combat-wise. This is Arkham Knight. This is the finale of this franchise. Like, think about how many combat encounters I've had in this game. Like, push me to the limit.
Or like it'd be great if because you've trained with him for so many years and he knows everything you do.
Take away all the button prompts above his head. Like,
wouldn't that be rad? Like, isn't that a mode? Can't you turn that off like super hard?
New Game Plus,
super hard mode. Like, what if they did that at the end? And what if like your blocks like didn't work? You know, it's like no, he slips past them.
And my favorite thing is the blade dodge takedown where you have to do like back and triangle, back and triangle, back and triangle, and he does like. And like grabs the
that's
knife,
right. Yeah.
Do those like back and forth. He busts out multiple knives. Like there would have been so many ways to take a hand-to-hand fight to the next
Mr.
level.
Freeze, like slowly take those beats away from you as the fight goes on, so it just gets harder and harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
And like maybe have like you're just ripping his outfit off, so like by the end, like maybe his sleeves come off, so he kind of looks like Robin, you know, and like just recall that. Yeah, no, I was just like. Yeah. Sadly, to the whole thing again, loved it because I love Batman. So like,
exactly.
But I'm still able to step back and criticize and be like, okay, this is not like, which is again why City was my favorite.
Arkham Knight is no joke. A 10 out of 10 to me. I don't care. Don't at me. I'm obsessed with it. Let's talk about the art style of Arkham Knight. This is the next gen Arkham game.
The rain, the moisture on his cape,
Jones,
the cape moisture.
The cape moisture. I just
to me
stare at the yesterday I was like, oh my god, look at that moisture. There was a part where one of my favorite side quests is with Penguin, because this game added a lot of stuff. This added tag teams, taking guys out with Nightwing.
Yeah.
You and Dick Grayson are tracking down Penguin's shipments.
Yeah.
I love this side quest. You have to fly over the city and track these vans. There was a moment just where you go down into the vault and you see one of their vans just like in the wall and the lights are shining through and just like Christmas lights are hanging up because it's like, you know, it's Halloween time and there's Christmas lights and jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. Just the attention to detail in this game is insane. Wayne Tower, Jones. You get to go to Wayne Tower, talk to Lucius Fox, get some more gadgets. Just like being able to just fly around the city. You know, because in Arkham Asylum, because in Arkham City, you see Wayne Tower in the distance. You're just, let me go there. You finally get to go there. Absolutely love it.
And style-wise, something we haven't talked about at all through this entire conversation, it's Batman. Just this new Batman.
The newest suit in Arkham Knight is maybe my favorite Batman suit ever. I love it.
But just his, I love, it makes me think of the line I love from Dark Knight where he's like, I'm not the one wearing hockey pads.
Yeah.
And he's like wearing hockey pads in like Arkham. Like he's like specifically his forearms I thought were just really interesting. Like his big kind of plate, almost like a padding, you know, where like that's where he does a lot of his blocking and I just thought like again like my Batman's a little sleeker, a little I'm not a fan of anything gray on Batman. I just love like all black. But
the night
costume this to me was just a very believable. If you're gonna present like the tank Batman, you know, the Batman that will you know, drop into the middle of the crew and just, you know, take a bunch of hits, you know, take the hits to make the play. I thought this was a really good representation of him and like just this massive human being. Like the animated series Batman's really great, but he's drawn very theatrically. His curves are not like he has a very like tiny feet. You know, it's like not a very like realistic, you know, portrayal of a quote unquote human being. And I thought this was an interesting, this like linebacker Batman. And I just I thought even despite him being so like Marcus Phoenix, I still bought his agility. It still seemed natural when he was flying, like just the way the cape like blended in with his suit and just love the design.
My favorite side quest in the entire game is Two-Face. And I love this because, okay, I was trying to say this on Frame Trap, Jones. A lot of, like, I'm all about play how you want to play. Do anything you want in the game. Play on any difficulty. Use guides. I don't care. Play how you want to play. But for me personally, I think Arkham Knight really requires you to kind of play things in a specific order or really reduce the urgency and the threat.
Okay.
There's a ton of these side tank quests, you know, and there are parts when, like, Oracle is held hostage and you can go choose to do side stuff. It's like, no, I should be doing this now. Oracle's hostage. Like, this needs to happen now. Two-Face is, Alfred calls you and is like, banks are being robbed right now. that to me is like, okay, not 20 minutes from now, like they're gonna leave. Like the bank is being robbed right now.
Yeah.
So it's like the Two-Face quest is like in the moment, yo, bank's being robbed right now, go. And you go to these banks and you have a countdown, and it's like how much money they're getting.
Yeah, that's right.
And they pull up in these dump trucks.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And the alarm is going off, and you can be louder because the alarm is going off, so you can just go nutso.
Yeah.
and the way enemies keep flooding in is so cool. It's like people keep, because they were probably like down on the street lookouts, and now they're coming in to get more cash. So you do a couple of these, and the very last one, the biggest bank in Gotham is being robbed. Two-Face is on hand. He's in there with you. Just such a cool quest because everyone is going to get the cash and going back. There's like 30 armed thugs in here. It's out of control. Saving Two-Face for the last enemy is kind of a mission in itself because he has so many guys around him. There's medics.
Yeah. Oh, medics. Oh, yeah, all the different types of dudes.
The
guys that jam you and
jammers, the guys that are immune to detective mode.
Flip over and like, oh, that crap. Yeah.
I just love that side quest, Jones.
Yeah.
So cool. Stopping Two-Face in just a bank heist is so simple and awesome.
And because we're talking about the end, like getting up to like the very end of night and like the order and doing things in a particular order. I mean, my game is still unfinished. Riddler is still out running around Gotham in my save of Arkham Knight.
The final boss, dude. Video games, man.
And
he's perfect for it.
Yeah, I think he is. And he said there was one time where I was just kind of floating around that game doing something else, and he popped up on one of the screens, and he was like, Batman, it was always going to come down between you and me. And I think about that, and it's like, yeah, that does kind of make sense. Like, you kind of would be the cockroach because you think about like the personal relationship he has with Joker and the personal relationship he has with Two-Face, and however many times the villain that made the most appearances in Detective Comics, Penguin. Nice. Fun little stat. So you have these people that you're used to seeing him fighting, but like Riddler's always like at another location. He's like, he's never there. Like he never like punches Batman. Like he never wants to be there for the fight. And so I imagine if like he's got to scurry around and grab everybody, Riddler's probably gonna be the last guy he's gonna get to because he's like, I don't want to waste my time trying to solve all this stuff. And the other interesting thing about Riddler is Batman doesn't bow for many people. Like Batman does things on his own terms. And like, even if you like have Batman tied upside down and are like interrogating him and like shocking him and like, beating him up, like he's not going to tell you what you need to know. Whereas like he does solve those Riddler puzzles because he has to. So like his relationship with Riddler is one of the only moments where like it is kind of a tete-a-tete. Like he does kind of, all right, I'll play ball and do this. Where like he rarely plays ball with Joker. He always tries to figure out a way to get around it. He never negotiates with terrorists. Yeah. And so like he does, so I just think that's a very interesting relationship that he does have with Riddler. And I thought that was portrayed interestingly in the game in the fact of like you said before, like where it's just like, I noticed you haven't done my thing. It's like, I know I haven't. I know.
It's so good.
Like, where like I'm in the
mindset
at you. I'm in the mindset of Batman, trying to shut these guys down and just intentionally putting that stuff aside and trying to like shut his voice out of my brain. But at the same time, I'm also a gamer being like, I'm probably never going to get those damn
What's
things.
Cool is that he lets you rescue, like, it lets you rescue Catwoman at least until you need to collect every single Riddler trophy. So she has the collar around her neck, which is a bust, dude, because I really wanted Catwoman in the story, like, because she's so cool in City. Like, if she had your back at a couple parts.
And a lot of people were critical of that at the time. That they were like, she's like made a victim again. Like,
yeah. So, but you rescue her and you get them all. You get the collar off her finally, which is cool because you have to go back and forth. You get the little grid as Batman, and she has to. Yeah. Those are really cool moments.
A lot of, like you're saying, a lot of fun co-op moments.
And you rescue her finally before the final fight. But you rescue her and you get to fight him in the mech for a little bit. You can only attack certain robots. She can only attack certain robots. So you're fighting through all these robots and like Riddler, and then he's like, nope. And then goes down underground and is like, if you want to finish this fight, Batman, you're going to have to go collect all the Riddler trophies. You're going to have to prove how badly you want to fight me and finish me. So you go outside, and then Catwoman has a cool line of like, well, see you later, Batman. Like, I'm out. A couple art houses are left unattended. She flies away. Trying to think of any other boss fights before we get into the final meat and potatoes here with Joker, and then we're going to wrap it up. Man-Bat is flying around. Cool little, cool little.
In real time, you can just see him. You can just look in the horizon. Oh, there he goes. You hear the screech. You're like, oh.
Yeah, not really a boss fight. You kind of just fly onto him, and that's it. But
Great.
You know, you get to go in his lab and Kirk Langstrom's lab, and I think those were really cool moments.
For an open world game, I'm totally fine with different scaled boss fights, having small encounters, medium encounters, big encounters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Oh, Hush. So Hush finally reveals himself. Do you remember how this plays out, Jones?
I don't.
Lucius Fox goes radio silent. Alfred is like, yo, Lucius, in Wayne Tower.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, yo, you should go over there. You go over there. They're underground. You go underground into Wayne Tower parking lot. You go up the elevator. You come out of the elevator as Bruce Wayne. Go into the computer. The retinal scanner's not working. Lucius Fox comes over. He's like, what's going on, Bruce? You take him out, then it goes back, and you realize you were playing as Hush disguised as Bruce Wayne. You come in as Batman. You know, Hush has him, has Lucius held hostage, and you just have to do a little quick time event. You take him out. A similar thing goes down with Penguin as well. When Penguin has Robin hostage, you do a little quick time event to take these guys out. But I thought those moments were really cool where it's like, held them hostage. Hush is really cool like that. But then we'll go into Joker. Let's wrap this up. Did you ever play the Season of Infamy DLC with Mad Hatter, Ra's al Ghul, Croc, Mr. Freeze?
Played Batgirl. Played all that. Yeah, I went through all of that
Batgirl, we can finally give a shout out to Warner Bros. Because the Batgirl DLC was developed by the Arkham Origins team.
Nice. Yeah,
that was
that's right.
Their DLC.
Very separate. Very standalone.
Prequel to it all.
Yeah.
Being able to fight Joker, Harley, and like 70 goons at a circus as Batgirl and Robin. Amazing fight.
Yeah.
Really good DLC.
I mean, theme park. How am I not going to love this?
So cool. So Batman is dealing with his fears in this game against Scarecrow. Not only is he getting injected with large amounts of fear toxin, but he's got Joker's tainted blood in him. He's got this Titan formula. Like, Batman is a mess in this game. He's a liability. Yeah. So there's this moment where Robin is like, you're the last Joker because remember the blood went out to the hospitals.
Yep.
So you have these other patients. There's a few left. There's I forget all their names. There's 4 of them though. There's the rocker dude who has the Joker in him. There's the one girl, the big bruiser fighter guy who's a really good boss fight too because he's coming up and doing cool combos on you. And then there's the old man. Harley comes to rescue them from the movie studio because she's, crazy. She's like, oh, well, Joker's inside of these guys. Like, the last little bit of Joker, I got to rescue these guys. You take out all of them. The last Joker, the old man, kills all of them. A lot of killing in this game, by the way.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight is nuts. People die. People get killed on screen. Very intense. He ends up killing all of them and then killing himself. So now you're the last person with Joker's blood in you. And Robin is like, yo, you're the last one. Like, you need to lock yourself up. You need to lock yourself up, Bruce. Like, you're a liability. You're like, okay, I will. You start getting these flashes of Jason Todd getting tortured, getting shot by Joker. You get the epic Batgirl killing joke scene. You get to relive that and watch that, which is very disturbing, but also fan service killing joke. Very intense in that scene. And you're dealing with this fear of like, nobody else can die. Nobody else can die. Because remember, Oracle shoots herself. Suicide.
Yeah.
And
oh god, yeah.
Remember that scene, which they undermine later. Should have committed to that scene.
Well,
honestly.
I mean, they got me. I mean, that destroyed me. So for the time it was relevant, I was decimated. I was
then
very,
it's
very
like,
surprised.
Psych, which I thought was kind of weak. You know, imagine if really that had, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Lost my train of thought.
The
movie studio, you lock yourself up,
right?
But then you're like, nope, and you lock Robin in instead because you don't want anything to happen to any of your Bat family. And I really like that because that's the biggest fear is not only failing, but letting someone close to you die.
Really great moment. As Gordon, where you play as Gordon.
You play as Gordon coming down.
Batman creeps up on you. You like,
Yes.
turn around. Ah, like
Yes.
there's Batman. You know, and it's like getting to relive that through Gordon's eyes. That happens so many times, but getting to like finally see him.
So you stop all the villains. You stop Jason Todd. You realize that Oracle is still alive. Gordon is gonna double cross you to make sure she lives. He shoots you. Gordon shoots Batman, but obviously knows what he's doing. Shoots you in the most heavily plated armor part.
Right.
So it all comes back to Arkham Asylum. Scarecrow goes to Arkham Asylum. He has Robin held hostage, or Nightwing held hostage, or Robin. Nightwing or Robin. He's got Robin held hostage and Jim Gordon held hostage, and he gives you an ultimatum. He says, "Batman, come to Arkham Asylum, remove your mask, show the world who you really are. The legend dies tonight." So you go. And you're freaking out. And the last showdown with Joker in your mind. Do you remember this? Because you are getting pumped. Full of toxins. Remember the cloudburst goes off?
Yes. Oh God.
Crazy
yes.
Batman Begins moment. The cloudburst goes off. You're trying to fix the Batmobile, and Joker is there, and he's just like, "Breathe it in, Batman. Breathe it all in. Let me take over." So you're trying to take out the cloudburst. Gotham's in chaos. Ivy sacrifices herself to cure it all. One final showdown in Arkham Asylum. Joker's in there, and it goes third-person shooter. You have a shotgun.
Yeah.
You start shooting all the villains, shooting everyone. He's loving it. Then it goes first person, because now you're playing as Joker, but you know Batman's trying to regain control.
Yeah, you're in my mind now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is great. Because, like you said, when you're Gordon and you get Batman sneaking up on you, that's what happens in this. There were a couple.
It's like Silent Hill vibes.
Yeah,
Man.
there's a couple moments where like Batman scared the shit out of me, and I love that because there weren't enough moments of that. And as a player, going through and scaring the crap out of all these people through all these games, getting it kind of turned on you at the last moment, I think is really cool. Of like, yo, now we're gonna scare the crap out of you. Now you're gonna feel what it feels like to go up against Batman. Thought it was such a great moment. And you know, you're Joker, you're shooting all these statues, you're like, "No, you won't take control. I'm in control now." And you know, Batman swoops down and locks Joker up in like basically in the asylum.
Yeah.
You know, you have a little asylum area where he locks him up, nothing to fear, reveals that he's Bruce Wayne. Scarecrow's pumping you full of gas. It doesn't even matter because Batman now has nothing to fear.
Yeah.
And he takes him out. And I loved this too. I know you loved this moment, Jones, when everyone knows you're Bruce Wayne and you're flying through the city and you hear the random criminals like, "Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, this whole time?
Yeah, why don't you come out, Bruce Wayne? We're gonna play nice now. We're gonna play. Let's go." Which
again, so satisfying then to drop down and kick their ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, can't believe this whole time. Like I was afraid of that guy.
So then Deathstroke comes, and that we talked about that whole thing. But then it's the Nightfall Protocol. It is one final night, clearing out the city once and for all, and hanging it up, hanging up the mantle. And that's kind of where we leave. Is, you know, you get Riddler, you get Two-Face, all these villains. You lock them up, and you reclaim the city. And it ends with you going into Wayne Manor. All the press, Vicky Vale's out there. Everyone is like, "Here is Bruce Wayne outside," after it's just revealed that he's Batman. You look back, door shuts, you and Alfred, Wayne Manor explodes. Blows up. So, of course, everyone thinks he's dead. Clearly he's not. It's all part of the plan. He's going to go in hiding. He even has a line of like, "This is the only way to ensure that they're safe."
Dark Knight Returns vibes.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
kind of similar ending. Yeah.
And you 100% it, though.
Yeah. Which I did not, but I saw the video.
You get that shot.
I had to watch it.
You get that shot in Crime Alley where a stick-up, a robber, same very shades of Bruce Wayne's parents, Thomas and Martha Wayne, somebody getting robbed in a back alley, and some freako-looking, demonic Batman swoops in. And that's where we end. What do you think, Jones?
What do I think's going on there?
Not only what do you think's going on, but how satisfied were you with this ending of Batman dealing with Joker, Batman dealing with his fears against Scarecrow, Batman cleaning up the city one final time? Give me all of your thoughts and emotions on this conclusion to this franchise.
I think I'm okay with a lot of it because it is a conclusion. You know, it's like, in a lot of ways, I hate it when they like introduce a villain and then kill them in the same movie, because to me, like, when I think of Batman, in quotes, it's about this world. It's about this ongoing struggle between him, you know, keep trying to put them back into Arkham, put them back into Blackgate, you know, like, stop these people. The pain that he must feel when, like, a new villain pops up, and he's like, God, not more people, you know, and, like, this kind of popularity contest that he, like, unwittingly started with all of these people trying to one-up each other. And so I do like the vibe, especially that they know they set this up, that this is going to be the finale of our trilogy. You know, like, we are going to wrap up this story. So, like, I was prepared for anything. And, like, and I love the reveal of, I love when Superman tells Lois he's Superman. I love when Batman, like, takes the cowl off. I love in, like, Civil War when Spider-Man reveals himself. Like, I love those moments. I love thinking of different ways that moments like that could happen. The cat can just come out of the bag. So, yeah, I dug it. I think, to me, what's going on in the end there, I think it's maybe possibly worth exploring that, like, that could be Nightwing, that could be, you know, Dick, that could be Tim Drake, that could be a lot of different people. But so much about these games was about, I mean, it started with Asylum, and so it's Arkham City and Arkham Knight, and you still have the Arkham associated with it. And I think they recognized that. I think Rocksteady really wanted not mental health, but mental control. You know, like, you being in control of these things, not letting these people get to you. And then when you specifically get, like, gas and drugs and memories and this idea of, like, is this actually an organism in my brain that is speaking, or is this my own brain doing this to myself? Possibly thinking, what would Joker think? Because how many conversations have we had over the years?
He's so amazing.
And so I can totally think, and, like, you've done that too, where it's like, you'll think, if you have a significant other, a family member, a close friend, Brad, you know, like, you could probably have a conversation with Brad with him not being there. And so it's like this fine line between, like, what's really going on here? Like, you know, like, what is Joker really trying to lay claim to my brain, or am I going crazy? And a lot of people have messed with that. The Arkham Asylum comic is really great, where, like, the beginning, where you see yourself, you know, like, on the slab being, like, brought into Arkham, like, Silence of the Lambs style. So at the end, seeing him kind of embracing the scarier side of this, kind of being like, how can I kick this up a notch? How can I really instill the fear in someone and kind of reclaim the mantle of this character, and have people, you know, because that was kind of the fear that was taken away, where it's like, oh, it's just a man, it's just Bruce, it's like that, I'm not afraid of something like that anymore. And, like, kind of one by one revisiting all of these characters and being like, no, I am a monster, like, I am. So is this something where, like, they breathed in something, or is this something he just kind of naturally exudes when he goes around? Yeah, and also, and like, this might seem unsatisfying for people, and it might, I'm sure I'm being kind of a hypocrite in saying this. I'm sure this maybe goes back on, like, other criticisms I've made of, like, other products, but, like, I'm okay with a big wacky ending to this whole thing. Like, it's really been this really over the top thing. And so if Rocksteady's, like, hanging their hat up and they're like, we're done, I kind of don't mind the ending. But you're like, what?
Like, what is that thing? What
that's so bizarre. You know, like, I kind of did. I think I chuckled when I first saw it. I was like, how weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool.
Is it like them hallucinating because the gas went off in the game? Like, are there remnants of the cloudburst gas?
Yeah, does he have, like, a pellet that's like, you can't see it, that he just threw in front of them and then showed up, you know, so, like, they were already gassed when he I love the moment from Begins where, like, you know, Scarecrow freaks out when Bale comes up to him, you know, and they have, like, Demon Batman. So yeah, I love playing around with stuff like that. And I think more than anything, when something bizarre is done in the Batman universe, my first impulse is always, well, I've never seen that before. That was fun. You know, like, I'd much rather have something that I don't necessarily agree with, but was very creative and was interesting, than something done well, but I've seen it before. And you know,
like Lady Arkham,
even if it's an homage.
Telltale Batman. So cool.
Yeah.
Had never been done.
Very unusual.
Awesome.
Kind of shock value. Like, not the character I thought was going to suddenly pop up and be a weirdo, but creative. You know, hats off. You did something new in this, like, almost 100-year-old, you know, franchise.
So hell of a game, you know.
Hell of a trilogy.
Hell of a trilogy, Jones. Love also when Harley shows up, that it goes full Arkham Asylum, and you're taking out, like, the Joker, actual Joker thugs. and it's the first encounter in the game with them, and it's like pretty deep in, and you hear the chatter of like, finally some payback for the asylum, and like, oh man, I missed City, like I wasn't there, like finally some, feels like old times back at the asylum, Batman, like come out and show yourself, like just the way all three of those games are connected. They even reference Origins as well, like Firefly and some other nods in there as well that reference those events.
Layers and
Deathstroke.
layers and layers of detail. Just you keeps getting
context.
The deeper you dig, the more you will find.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to dig. You don't need to find those things. Like what was it Man-Bat, or what's the little like cape or something that's in City that's on like a construction site or something? It's just like a thing.
Oh,
that's just
you
lying
find
there.
like Scarecrow stuff all over the place.
There's one thing specific. I can't remember what character it was referencing, but like you can just blow right past those things, and it's still a really great game.
In City, there's collectibles where you have to bat claw them and rip them open, and like Joker or Scarecrow bugs will crawl out. When you're gassed in Night on the ground, you see those bugs. Just those little connections. Like, come on. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even I think they go back to Asylum, those bugs, when you're tripping out. Just a hell of a trilogy. Lastly, we'll end it here, Jones. Looking to the future.
Oh, no.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Because you have a retired Batman now where the entire universe knows that he's Bruce Wayne. He says it's to protect them, obviously referring to the Bat family. With a little digging, I think you could figure out, these people's identities. You look at Barbara Gordon, you look at Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, these people that were close to Bruce Wayne. Will that play into it? Will we play as a new protege of Batman's? Will Batman be in it? Will it be a Superman game? What do we think here, Jones?
Oh, it's not going to be a Batman game. I'd be very, very surprised if they did a Batman game, purely just because they did 3 huge things, and they have a tremendous opportunity to do whatever they want. And so, I think this seemed to me like a situation where they pitched a new project, and people were really excited about that. And then,
so not Batman Beyond.
That would be such a random thing. It'd be so weird, man. Like, I don't think
Future?
Now that Batman Beyond's not great.
Can you imagine picking up, though, 50
of course.
50 years later from Arkham Knight? 50 years later.
Of course. Give me old Kevin Conroy again, like coming back. And now that he's actually like getting up there in years, so like he could really, develop an interesting character. And certainly because like there was so much R-rated goodness tucked within Beyond. Like there was so much creepy. Talk about people dying and stuff. Like there was so much creepiness underneath the surface of that show that they couldn't really get into, that Return of the Joker just knocked out of the park. And so it'd be neat with this to be like, oh, we're going there. Like we're really gonna create a very bleak, creepy future. But
so yeah, I'll leave you with these final 2 questions. What do you think they're gonna do? What do you want them to do?
I would see, like, it's tough because it's like, to me, my dreams have to be associated with them as a developer and seeing what they were good at. And then, because for myself, I've always wanted a Flash game. Like you were talking about random, like I really don't think it's going to be that. But I think that's a really fun character. But I don't think Rocksteady may be necessarily the team to make a game like that. To me, that's a much bigger picture. We have a character that can just be like in Paris in 5 seconds. It's like, how do you make an open world game? And in that same case, like Superman, like, I don't really see the skills that they've developed necessarily translating into that kind of a game. But is this something that's going to be so out of left field, or is it still going to have the same kind of combat stuff?
What if it's a Teen Titans game, though, and you're Deathstroke instead?
Cool. Fighting against them.
Against them or something. I don't know.
I don't know how this Harry Potter rumor came up. I don't know if that's just wishful thinking. Because of the open world nature that they would love to like go to like Harry Potter environments.
So wait, do you think their next game is not even going to be in this universe? Completely detached from the Arkham universe?
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, that's my coin in the bucket. Is that it's a new property. It's a whole new.
So we're gonna be left with this flaming psychotic bat at the end of Arkham Knight, just left there.
This has been a psychotic series. This has been a really bizarre. It began with big, like buff Joker, ended with. Clayface being like, pretending to be Ra's al Ghul and then like Joker being in your head. Like, there's just so many things that I was like, okay, Rocksteady, and like, so that didn't surprise me, them ending it with just kind of this big what if. We'll give it to you, like it doesn't, we don't necessarily have to paint a picture for everybody so they all understand it the same way. However you want this story to continue, then go for it.
Good point there, Jones.
So I just don't think
having just a little tease like that does kind of leave a little room for the player to kind of fill in their own.
I can have it be my own now.
Beautiful.
Like if you want it to just end, and maybe like he just beat up Gotham City so hard that like there really isn't organized crime anymore, and the organized crime is really mobsters and stuff like that, like actual quote unquote organized crime, and the cops have it. They're fine. Like he's like maybe they work. Maybe like he kind of works more closely with them and like helps give them tech to let them take over. So like he doesn't have to carry the burden of everything. I think it's kind of up to you. And I like that. I like that stories that leave things potentially open ended like that. The way that Rockstar's been so cryptic, I
always say Rocksteady.
Sorry, the way Rockstar's also very cryptic, but Rocksteady, when they the way that they've talked about it doesn't seem like a continuation. It seems like just wait until you see this. You're not gonna know. You're gonna that I think we're all gonna be really surprised. We don't even know. We're all running around being like, what property is it going to be? Do we know it's going to be a licensed property?
The only thing they've said is it's going to blow your mind. That's all they've said.
Yeah, what if they announce some crazy thing that's like their own? What if they pull a rare GoldenEye approach and they're like, we're not going to make another Bond game. We're going to make our own thing that we can own, that like we can then create our own narrative. We're not constantly worried about fan service and stuff like that. I could see it going a billion different ways. It's not the kind of, this is totally unsatisfying for the end of this video, but like it's just not that kind of project where it's like I need it to be this.
Yeah.
It'll be bad if it's not this. And it'll be a missed opportunity by Rocksteady if they don't do this particular property or this character.
I think the night ending is so satisfying, wrapping up the city and throwing everyone in jail and retiring as Batman is such a fitting conclusion where I don't need it to be in the Batman universe.
Yeah.
I would love, though, my dream is Batman Beyond or something in that sense where it is an older Bruce Wayne in hiding. And you can carry that entirely like a soft reboot. You have the entire Arkham legacy, but you're someone else and it's its own thing. But you do encounter, say Gordon or Bruce Wayne.
If it is in this universe, sign me up. Like I'm not.
Even if it's not, sign me up.
Yeah, if it's Superman or Titans or like, let's do it.
Gamescom's coming up. PSX is coming up. When are we going to friggin' hear about this game, Jones?
I will say this. Yeah, PSX, maybe. I don't know. I just don't know.
Do we hear about it in 2018? Are they going to make us wait till 2019? Because Arkham Knight now is 3 years old.
I got no clues.
It's been 3 years.
You're asking me to solve a case? I got no clues. I haven't even been to the crime scene yet. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I have nothing. It's just pure speculation. I will give you one thing, though.
Yeah.
Because I think they started this game, and Batman is so crucial to this series, and they wanted to make such improvements to, like, eventually ending with the Batmobile, which, whether you liked it or not, was obviously very important to them. I think it's something that they probably, like, going into City, we're like, should we? Yeah. It's like, let's just focus more on the opening up this environment, and then like the moment City was over, it's like, okay, now let's really focus on the Batmobile, and they just got a little overboard. But really want to have it focus on Batman, on his abilities, and then on the outside, let's bring in Harley, let's bring in Robin, and in Gordon in other cases, and I just see them experimenting with other perspectives of other characters.
Yeah,
and I see them like bringing in Catwoman and Nightwing and the co-op moves, and like how as the game progressed more, it became less of like a one character trial and more of a team effort.
It was about him needing people.
So
Suicide Squad
makes me wonder, if it's a Titans or Suicide Squad or Turtles or something that like it's a multiple character thing, and you have to decide what character you're going to take in what situation, and then there's multiple situations where there's different crossovers of teammates, where it's like, in this mission I'm Raphael and Leonardo, and in this mission I'm just Donatello, and in this mission I'm all of them, but they're in separate locations, and so I'm like kind of GTA 5, there's a little dial at the bottom where I hit up, down, left, right on the D-pad, and I'm swapping between the characters.
God, I would
that's
love
like
it.
That's the only thing, just because it seems like the experiments that they were doing in this, that I could see them being like, let's not shoot ourselves in the foot and be stuck with one character for a new series.
Because
let's
that
do something
stuff's
that has a lot of
underrated.
people. Justice League, of course, would just be.
And again, Arkham Knight, underrated, Jones. It hurts me because even that
it's a hard. Even that City's a hard game to top.
The simple pleasure though that we didn't get to do until Arkham Knight, just teaming up with Robin. You know, Batman and Robin go into a room, and the way it contextualizes that being more powerful, not only do you get the tag team moves to take out the bigger dudes,
right?
But like there are big dudes that you cannot stealth takedown if you're solo. There's a stealth Predator mission where you're Batman and Nightwing just systematically taking them out. Stealth takedowning big guys. It's just amazing.
And we talked about Origins a little bit, which is really great. Phenomenal. I love when Joker falls and Batman catches him, and then Joker's like, "Why did he catch me?" I love that as an introduction to Joker's character of like, wait a minute, if I had fallen and died, this whole thing would be over.
Yeah,
but he didn't. Why didn't he do that? And that was kind of like the seed of this like a romance almost, you know, between these two characters. Like Joker is really just infatuated with him, and I love that being the genesis of that. But if you have somehow played all 3 of these Rocksteady games and Origins and have not played that VR game, you have to do it. It doesn't like finally reveal something that was not there, but like I kept having flashbacks of it when you talk about nightmare scenarios with Joker, when you talk about being in confinement with Robin, interesting Robin situations, like just a lot
solving
of
the case, too.
Nightwing,
investigations.
Man, like, another Origin shout out, Mr. Freeze's Origins through detective mode. Oh, beautiful.
So beautiful.
Replaying that. What happened to Mr. Freeze?
So cool.
And we know the story, so it's not a surprise, but like actively being able to rewind the scene and see it happen. It's great.
And then doing that at night, following the fingerprints, like seeing where Simon Stagg like put his fingerprints, tracing that. Oh, so cool. Hell of a franchise, Jones. I could talk to you forever. I needed to just talk to you about it.
Twist my arm, man.
I texted him. I texted Jones on Slack. Jones, can we do just
yesterday
episode of fully on Arkham? Yes.
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 Just so fun.
Ooh, I'm kind of busy tomorrow. Yes. Yes.
So that's gonna do it. Please join the conversation. Saturday we have the Q&A, but I'll be on before Talking Syndrome this Saturday. We're gonna talk a little bit about Arkham.
Nice.
11 a.m. We can spitball and talk about your thoughts on this franchise. Maybe think about where Rocksteady is going to take it in the future. Just join the conversation. Let us know what you think, what your favorite one is, what your least favorite one. Not what your least favorite one is. Let's keep it positive.
Well, if you tell me what your favorite one is, I can probably guess what your least favorite one is. I mean, it's Night for everybody.
I know. Which is so, like, it has the best parts of the franchise, too.
Yeah.
Which is so ironic. We can talk about it. Let's just go. Talking Syndrome, 11 a.m. Saturday. See you there.